Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
Hello, hello.
We have listeners out there. I'm Stacey Pringle. I'm the thoughtful listener, and we're here with Kat Jovey, and she's from the Knowledge Chasers. And we met during a Smart Connect, and we said, "Hey, there's something going on here. We have to do this. We have to get together. Let's do an interview. Let's talk about some things. Let's talk about active listening, being a lifelong learner, entrepreneurship, all these great and good things." So I'm going to turn it over to Kat. She's going to tell you more about herself and what she does, and then we'll jump into it. So,
Oh,
Kat, the floor is yours.
beautiful. Thank you so much, Stacey. Yeah, I love that we really do have something going on. The conversation was too good to not keep connecting. So I love that this is like our fourth time chatting and wonderful to sort of share the conversation because I think we just have such juicy conversations every single time. So I'm Kat Jovey and I'm Knowledge Chasers and I believe in lifelong learning. It's something that's always been so important for me, that chasing knowledge and leveling up all the time. And I've gotten into what I call thought partnership, which is sort of coaching and consulting, getting married. So the consulting side, so business strategy and developing things, sales, marketing, etc. And then the coaching side of it sort of wrapped into there as well, because I think mindset is so important. I think especially for entrepreneurs, but for everybody, having your mindset in the right place and really being aware of that and working on that every day as well just really makes you a more impactful person in every sense of the word.
Yes, I agree 100%. In our conversation, in our Smart Connect, you asked me the question about active listening, and we said, oh, we bonded the fact that we both do it in our professions, and we were like, oh my gosh, active listening is so crucial to our lives, right? Both personally and professionally. It's how we show up in the world, how we show up for others. And so we wanted to talk more about this active listening and see how our world is expanded when we do this practice, right? When we bring it to the world, when we give this gift to someone else. So, Kat, tell me more about how you use it in your personal and professional life, please.
Sure, sure. And that's the thing. That's the key. It's you want to use it in all aspects because it's to me the best way to build rapport with other people, to connect with other people and to try to have them actually feel seen and understood. And those are two things that I think don't happen as much in the world because people are often focused on what they have to do next or what they did before, living in the past or the future instead of in
Yeah.
the present. So active listening to me is all about being right here now with you only. My attention is fully on you, not on what I have to do later. And I am here and asking you questions to understand you more. And so I use that in all of my relationships as well as in my professional context as well with my clients. That's the best way to really understand where their head is at or what their goals are and digging questions deeper and deeper into that conversation to really get to the meat of it and to really be as helpful as possible too.
Yes, I agree with you in what I do personally and professionally. So I've been, and I told you this before, and I tell people this that I've been doing active listening since I was a little girl. Didn't know what it was, had no clue, but what I did know is that people felt comfortable being vulnerable with me and sharing very personal things with me. And so it was always a humbling and honor and a privilege to be that person where they knew that they could leave their secrets with me, right?
I love
That
that
they
how
could
you
come
said that.
to
I
me.
I I also like people just started really sharing. Like, was there a certain point where you realized this was a theme? Like, when did you realize this was happening and this wasn't ordinary for other people?
You know what? I didn't know this until I was an adult. I really didn't. It's the strangest thing, Kat. I just thought, right? My mother said that I was always like very sociable, gregarious, like an extrovert, and so I just thought, like, oh, everyone does this, right? Like, everyone has this ability to do what I'm doing. It wasn't until I started to understand that I was listening to one of the coaches right in the program, and he said, what is your gift? Bring your gift to the marketplace. And I had been learning about this. And I was like, what is a gift that I have? Right? Like head scratching, right? What is a gift that I I love art. That's
Uh-huh,
my
uh-huh.
background. If that's not obvious, there you go. Uh, but what, and I had to dig deep to find this information, right? Like, what else is a gift besides like my art, my
Mhm,
creativity? I'm
mhm.
a creative. And I said, oh my goodness, you know what? I listen to people. I don't think everyone does this. And so I was listening to the Today Show and I was watching a journalist talk about active listening and how she had to show up in a way for a woman that she never had because she had done an article and one of the mothers, about two young men, and one of the mothers became very angry that she hadn't highlighted her son. And so she had to listen to this woman like spew all of her anger at her. And she said at that moment, she could have done one thing or the other. And she chose to actively listen to this woman and
Mhm.
give her the safe judgment free zone that she needed to find peace. And I said, oh my gosh, I do that all the time. Like that's what I do.
Yeah,
Like that's how I show up in the world. Like,
that's the
oh my
thing.
gosh, this is a skill? I
Yeah.
thought it was just something that everyone does.
Right, that judgment-free zone, that safe space is something that sadly is rare. A lot of people have all of these judgments and are unable to let go of that instead of saying, this is a unique person in front of me with unique perspectives, experiences I can never truly understand because I haven't been through them. And so
Yeah.
to just be there to listen and hear them.
It's such a blessing to me. It's a gift of reciprocity because when someone decides to leave their baggage or their frustrations, issues, concerns, right, to de-stress with me, their share in the most vulnerable moments, it's a gift to me. And the fact that I can give them that is a gift to them. So it's reciprocity. It's a beautiful dance, right? It's a concert. And it's important too to be curious, right? So we talked about curiosity because you can't get to active listening unless you're curious about other people,
Mhm.
because active listening is really about other as well, right? And
Mhm.
so sort of being in that place of curiosity is putting your interest in someone else. So speak to me about curiosity because we spoke a lot about that and how you use it in your life as well.
Yeah, I think getting curious for me, other than being present, is the easiest way to active listen. It's the easiest way to get to know someone, to build rapport. So many aspects in life, the reason why people will feel comfortable with me quickly is because I genuinely am curious and want to know about them. And I think sadly, that's kind of rare sometimes for some adults to have that in their life. And so it also makes conversation easy because I'm curious and I want to know more about that. Like, what was your thought process on that? Or if someone's telling me about how they learned something, well, how do you go about learning that? Like, how do you keep that in your mind? Like, there are so many questions that you can go so much deeper with if you're curious.
It's true. And I sensed that about you right away, Kat. Like you were genuinely curious about me and you wanted to know more and what I do and how I use active listening. So it is a blessing, right? Because it says, listen, being curious about someone else means you matter, right? It's right showing up saying, hey, I validate you, I respect you, I'm curious about who you are, right? And how you serve the world and how the gifts that you give to the world. So I am genuinely curious about who you are. And it is a part of active listening. It's a necessary part of active
Yeah.
listening to get to that place of other, right? Of putting others first and learning about others. And that comes into play, right? About lifelong learning and how curiosity sort of blends in or is a part of and attached to lifelong learning. And so we talked about that. So, talk about how you use a lifelong learning in your life, not just in your business, in your life, Kat.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I mean, well, the curiosity and the conversations, part of it is always, I think, everyone has something they can teach me. I could learn something from anyone. So I apply that with every conversation I have. Anytime I find myself getting bored, I think, how can I learn something? What could I learn here? What's the moment for me to learn? But I think lifelong learning is so important. And once I changed the way I looked at life as like every moment, good or bad, or however you want to label it,
Yes.
is a chance to level up. It's a chance to improve yourself, whether it be, in my case, often working on my patience, whether it be actually learning something, learning more about psychology, learning more about you, learning more about whatever it is. But I
Yes.
think if you're thinking about sort of try to improve just 1% every single day and just try to learn something, it's great, like scientifically for your brain, the neural pathways, health wise, it's amazing. It's good for you as a human. You have more things to talk about with people as well.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's such a great, big, beautiful world out there. Why wouldn't you want to be a lifelong learner? There's no way that we'll be able to learn, everything there is in the world, but why not take a stab at learning as much as you can?
That's right. It's true, right? We're all works in progress, right? And so being works in progress means that we have to be lifelong learners, right? Right? We can't be okay with the status quo or where we are. We have to really
Push.
um, step out of our comfort zone.
Yes.
Right? So I'd like to go back and talk to you about that and how that plays a role in lifelong learning as well. Because that comfort zone sometimes, right, it we get stuck in that
Yeah.
place,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Of the same, right? And like pattern of the cyclical, right? What did they call the hamster wheel? We
Yeah.
keep doing this and this and this, and we don't step out of the comfort zone because we don't embrace this thing of lifelong learning. It
Mhm.
is necessary for each and every one of us to grow and become who we are, right?
Mhm.
To step in our fulfillment through lifelong learning. So, can you talk about the comfort zone and lifelong
Mhm.
learning
Sure.
and sort of that and how they work with each other or against? I would like to say against, but you tell me.
Fair, fair. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I think your comfort zone, and not to say, sometimes you need to do things that are comfortable to calm your brain. I get
Yeah,
that. But
yes,
where you do the most growth, where you realize what you're capable of is when you are when you're outside of your comfort zone, when you're pushing yourself, when you're learning something new, trying something new, meeting someone new. That's where the most, for me, exciting things happen. It's definitely an addiction for me to be doing new things, trying new things all the time. And getting outside of your comfort zone, it, there's nothing like it. There's nothing that will make you realize what you're capable of as much as that. And
yes,
unless you're willing to step outside of that comfort zone, then you'll never really know everything that you're capable of. I think that's why a lot of people are really scared of entrepreneurship as well, because it's so far out of some people's comfort zone. It involves you having to learn and stretch yourself every single day sometimes.
yes. So let's talk about that. This, lifelong learning, because as an entrepreneur, you cannot sit right on what is now. You are constantly learning new things because things are constantly changing, right? And sometimes in business you have to pivot, right? And you can't stay comfortable in what you're doing because the world around you changes. And so as to stay up on what's happening and how can improve your business, right, as an entrepreneur, then lifelong learning comes into play. So how did you get started? How did lifelong learning lead you into entrepreneurship?
Sure, sure. Yeah. I mean, when I was 25, I think I really took it to heart and started getting into lifelong learning. A good family friend passed away, and it made
Mm,
at a very young age, and it made me realize life is short. I need to get out there and I need to do all the things. And so sort of my brain switched in that regard. And then during lockdown, there was all this time suddenly. And so I realized, well, there's all this time. I may as well start learning more. And then I really started learning more about myself. And I realized that, I was out of a job for 6 months. I realized I identified only as my job. And I was like, who's Kat Jovey if I'm not this? And so it took a lot of self-reflection, but I realized sort of what fulfills me is helping others and helping others to excel, and constant personal growth. If I don't have personal growth, I feel stagnant and I feel like I'm not doing my job as a human. I always want to be leveling up and pushing forward. And I worked in a variety of jobs sort of in the field of helping others excel in a variety of different ways, trying to find the right fit. But entrepreneurship ended up feeling like the best fit because it allows me to choose how directly I can help people, which for me, again, having conversations like this with humans is my favorite thing of life. And it also ties in the lifelong learning because you are constantly having to learn, especially in the first sort of 3 to 5 years. You're really having, even just figuring out what your niche is and niching down. Whew, Hannah, it takes time to figure out like what is your gift. When you are listening to that person, you realize active listening is one of yours, but it's tough when you are a lifelong learner. You have all these different interests and areas that you've worked on, and so you're constantly having to learn and adapt and adjust. Social media is changing all the time. Technology is changing all the time. There is such an abundant amount of knowledge out there. And then I think something that sort of ties in sort of with my business is the knowledge is out there, but it's implementation that is key. And I think that's been like the biggest lesson for me in entrepreneurship.
I agree with you 100%. I remember when I started this journey and I was like, what am I doing? I always looked at myself as a creative, and I started this journey, this entrepreneurship, as a podcaster. I learned how to do podcasting in my former job in nonprofit, and I started a podcast for them. My boss said, "Do it." I said, lifelong learning, right? It kicks in. I said, okay, let me do the research. Let me buy the microphone.
Someone's made a YouTube video about it.
Exactly. Let me build the theme song. Like it was about the whole thing. I did the whole thing, lifelong learning and implementation. Like, and how do I broadcast this thing? And so that's where I started out, right, as a podcaster. And it is about finding your way, right, and being willing to be a lifelong learner, learn new things, find out, niche down. That's very important in business. I started here, right? Then I went here and then realized I had to come back here, right? So again, it's in entrepreneurship, it is about lifelong learning. It is about being willing and having an openness to do these things and do it in a way that serves you and serves others, right? So, and implementation is absolutely correct. Talking about implementation, wow, like how do I, right, put this into practice? How do I take the skill of, this gift of active listening and turn it into a skill, right? Like, where do I go? What do I do? How does this all work?
Yeah.
And again, how do I bring this to the marketplace so that the thing that people need in active listening is one of those things that most of us need, all of us need. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah.
How do we bring that to the marketplace? Like, how do you make this into something that will serve others and fulfill you? So I agree with you. Lifelong learning.
And taking the steps to actually do it too is difficult. Yes. I think you can get in this place of ingesting information and doing your research and I'm learning all the things. I'm not there yet, but like you need to get out of your comfort zone and take that leap and try to find clients or try to, put out a course or make content or whatever it is. You have to get outside yourself and start sharing. And it can be terrifying and it can be scary and you worry, oh, will people judge me? Well, honestly, most people won't see it. It's fine. Do it. Just put it out.
It's true. It's true. Oh my goodness. And so I'm going to lead us into our next topic, which is be your own cheerleader. And the reason I'm bringing this up, Kat, is because I had to learn to be my own cheerleader. I would not step in front of a camera. To I wouldn't have done this like
Oh,
in the
you're so
beginning when I
amazing on
first
camera.
started. I know. I know. I wouldn't have. And I was blessed to be part of a group, Dare Dream. Thank you, Alicia. And she, right, coaxed me into like, and her organization that she has, which is wonderful for entrepreneurs starting out. And she just, she was always there. Like, it's always there, always like was a kind word, supportive. And I went from hiding from the camera, look at where we are now, right? And so really having to say to myself, listen, you can do this. Like, let go of the perfectionism, right?
Oh my
And
gosh, you
start,
have to.
oh, and start like getting yourself out there. Like, you can do this, right? Like, what you're saying, what you have to bring to others matters. So get out there. So
Yeah, and it
when
can be helpful. Like you just need to do it. Like who is not being helped because you aren't making that content or you aren't doing those things? Like even if you just end up helping one person by posting some silly little video that you recorded that maybe has something about confidence or getting out of your comfort zone or whatever it is, like that could make all the difference for them in that day. And that's such a beautiful thing. And so like you feel the fear, but do it anyways. Like get out there and do it.
Yes. And that's it. And that's how you become your own cheerleader, right? Is to really say, and do it, right? Like do it, not just say it and say, okay, yeah, that sounds wonderful. Then the next step is, like you said, implementation and doing the thing.
Mhm.
Because once you do the thing, even if you're afraid, it's getting it done. And like you said, it serves someone. If it's only one person,
Mhm.
right? When I was doing the podcasting, I was like, oh, who's going to listen to this? Da, da, da. And then it's like, okay, if one person benefits from the podcast, then I've done something, right? It matters to them. And I've done what I was supposed to do by serving, right?
Mhm.
Because it's putting other people first and you become fulfilled in that. It
Exactly.
helps.
And people are thinking like, A, you could help so many people just with these little things that you do that are terrifying, but the fact that you're willing to do it shows them that they can also do it. So that's a huge thing. And again, like people, this took me a long time to learn, but when I was younger, I was always worried what people are thinking. Like maybe they'll judge me, maybe I'll get, and you like fail yourself before you even try. And
Yes.
honestly, most people are in their heads too. They're worrying about you're worrying about them. So like it's fine. Do it anyways. Honestly, they'll probably just be like, "Oh wow, you were so confident to do that." So just go and do it. And you'll
Yes.
learn. Like you'll iterate. That's the thing. Nothing will be perfect. The recovering perfectionist in me struggled with this and still struggles with it. You know, it's an ongoing recovering. But do it and iterate on it and it will only improve. Like if you need an example, go on YouTube and look at anyone. Marie Forleo, she started out a certain, her videos were X and now look at them. They're stunning, they're edited beautifully, but what she started 10 years ago. And
See?
tons of these people that you're just seeing now have been doing this for a decade or at least
Yeah.
5 years. And so don't be so darn hard on yourself. You have to
That's
work up to it. You have to get out there and talk because that's also how you're going to improve how you can speak on whatever topic you're talking about. Have wonderful people like yourself
that's
and do
right.
things like this that are out of your comfort zone.
That's right. Absolutely. And before we go, because we are going to wrap up, this has been an excellent conversation. Uh, I want people to be aware of what you just said, comparison, right? You can look at someone and say to yourself, oh, and be inspired, but don't compare, because being inspired and comparing are two different things. And comparing yourself with someone else can be disastrous
Yeah.
for.
Comparison is the theft of joy.
It's exactly right. It's true. I love that. I love that. That's exactly right. And so be very careful about the difference between inspiration and comparison, because there's a fine line, right? You're inspired, but then you start, oh, I can't do that. No, 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 no. That's not what it's for. Be inspired, but don't compare.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
kill your
Because
joy.
everyone's different, right? Everyone has their own perspectives, their own experiences, et cetera, et cetera. So comparing yourself to them is different. And you have your own unique gifts to share with the world. You are you. No one can be you. No one can be Stacey Pringle. Sure, I can active listen, but I'm not going to active listen the way that you do. The way that
That's
you show up in the world is
that's
completely
right.
special to you. And
That's
the gifts that you can give to the world, no one else can.
That's right, Kat. And the same with you. The same thing. And that's what we have to, and this is please, we have to grasp what Kat just said because it was so beautifully, it's profound. No one else can do what you do. That's why you're here, all right? That's why you're created. So find out the best and be the best you that you can be. And if you need to have tunnel vision, and I say this in a way, be very focused on what you bring to the world, right? And if you have to let go of the noise, right, and what other people saying, do that. And I'm not saying it in a self-centered, in a selfish way. I'm saying just be true to who you are, and feed yourself so you in a way, and nurture yourself in a way that you can show up as your most authentic self and
Mm.
honor yourself and love yourself.
Oh, I love that. Your most authentic self. That's my favorite. And that also leads back to everything we talked about. When I think when you show up as your authentic self, that's when people feel most comfortable around you. And that's when you're able to really share yourself with the world.
Yes, I agree. Kat, this has been so beautiful. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing this space with me. Listen, if you want to, tell the world and share with the world anything that's going on with you, where can they reach you? We have IG Knowledge Chasers. What's going on right now with you and your business? What do you have
Yeah.
to give to the world right now?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say for now, feel free to come and join me on Knowledge Chasers. I share ideas and different ways of looking at the world and tips and whatnot throughout the week on the Instagram. You're also welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. It's just Kat Jovey. I share, sort of other wisdom there. And yeah, I would love, people to join in on the conversation. I love hearing from others and getting their perspectives. And I'm so glad that we were able to do this together, Stacey.
So am I, and hopefully this will be just the first in more.
That's my plan.
So yeah, that's good. I love that. Just to let you know, please do follow Kat because watch her videos every day, and they are so inspirational. They're fun, and like I have like those aha moments. So please do that. And I just want to let people know that as an active listener, you can find me at thethoughtfullistener.com. And I'm running a special right now, and that is for Thanksgiving. Listen, we all go through that Thanksgiving angst, right? That holiday angst. And so, in order to de stress, sometimes you can't go to family, you can't go to friends, you can't go to colleagues, and you just need someone like I've been doing all my life to really de-stress, right? Gain clarity and achieve focus. So take a look at my website, look at the holiday special. I can help you leave your baggage with me, right? And be clear to move forward, and be refreshed and rejuvenated before or after the Thanksgiving holiday. So I'm here for you. Just if you've never heard the song Bag Lady by Erica Badu, like leave your baggage with
Okay.
me.
So great.
Leave your baggage with me. So
Oh,
I
she's
just want to let you know what's going on with the thoughtful listener. So, Kat, I'm going to let you go because I know that you are a busy woman and you have more things to do today. And I'm just grateful. Thinking about Thanksgiving, I'm just grateful that I met
oh,
you. I'm grateful that we're doing these.
so am I. I can't wait to make more magic with you,
I
Stacey. This was wonderful. Thank you for having me.
thank you. You take care. Have a blessed one. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.